would an integrated, cannabis society look like that we'd all be grateful and happy for?
No holds barred. Very, very, very low regulations aside from the testing aspects.
Okay.
Aside from, because, one of the dark sides of cannabis that, we're very big on is we grow organically in soil. We don't spray pesticides. We don't spray fungicides. We don't spray insecticides. A lot of these corporations and these larger companies, they can't scale properly, and that's what they actually use to help. Those are very dangerous. We really don't know what's going to happen 20, 30 years from now with, for instance, like Eagle 20 being sprayed on plants. We don't know what happens to the human body when we smoke weed that has had Eagle 20 sprayed on it.
Wow.
We really don't. We're going to find out because it's all over the place in the industry, all over. So I would say no holds barred, no licensing, it's so hard right now because every state has different rules.
Right.
Most states have a very, very high barrier to entry. You need a lot of money. You have to go and get a license. You're maybe only, in some states, one of 5 licenses awarded.
Wow.
In Arizona, there's 150 roughly.
Wow. And
Arizona's structure is such that the dispensary, the grow, the manufacturing, the distribution, they're all owned under one single license. The testing is separate. So I would say I would be happiest if there was no licensing structure. If anybody could grow and scale a business in cannabis, knowing that, hey, you have to get it tested. For instance, Oklahoma does an over-the-counter licensing permitting process. Something like that, because what it's going to do is, one, it's going to flood the market with products. It's going to oversaturate the market. And you're going to see very quickly who knows what they're doing and who doesn't. And the people that don't know what they're doing or that can't compete are going to fall off. I'm very much like free capitalism. Open the floodgates, see who can swim and see who can't. And let it be that way. And have the rules that you absolutely need, have the regulations you absolutely need to protect the consumer, just like you do in any industry. But make it a free capitalistic industry. Don't put all these insane barriers to keep 99% of people from being able to make money in that industry. Because that's really, at the end of the day, Arizona specifically, when it first went medical, one of the specific regulations was you cannot apply for a license unless you can show a bank account with $150,000 in it.
Wow.
How many business people out there from day one to go apply for a license can just plop that down and be like, hey, I've got $150K sitting in a bank account.
Right.
So, and who was that written by? That was written by an old dude that had a ton of money, that knew he was going to get into the cannabis space and was legally connected to the guys that were writing the bill. So he said, put that in there. And I know this guy. I did business with this guy. I know the mentality. So things like that, I'd love to see a shift in, let's open the floodgates and let's see who can compete and who can't. Because from a selfish perspective, I know me and my team can compete. I've also never been hindered by these barriers because I'm one of those guys that, okay, put a barrier in front of me. I'm going to figure out a way around it. I'll see you on the other side. But not everybody has that mentality. And, life's not fair. Sure. But I would love to see more people be given a chance, because I think that there are so many opportunities and the industry could grow so much faster if everybody had the ability to partake. That's in a perfect world. Obviously, we don't live in a perfect world.
No, it's good. It's just good to hear an ideal situation. When I hear cannabis, it's just not something I hear about or hear people talking about very often. What does it look like? What can we all agree upon? What's a vision that makes sense, that has a clear viewpoint, that, right now there's such siloed separation with each state having different, it's really tough to get a congruent idea and understanding when it's federally illegal, right? Is that correct?
Correct.
But it's on a state by state, it's legal to some degree. And so no wonder there's chaos and disconnection, because that's how it's being set up right now.
Absolutely.
And so it's interesting to hear a perspective that can provide some sort of, okay, well, hey, we may all have different ideas on how this goes, and this is something kind of newer to the market, but hey, if we all have a clear direction on where it's going, that might provide some more continuity, especially with, as you were saying, education. I know that's been a huge part of it. Seeing that come into the fold as well.
Absolutely.
Just helping people really understand, knowing that they can ask the questions and feel empowered to educate themselves.
And it's up until, the last 3 or 4 years, it's still been closed off. And it's not necessarily been closed off because it's different from state to state, but because 10 years ago, I was doing this illegally. 10 years ago, I don't think anybody knew, except for maybe some very, very close friends and family, that I was growing a bunch of plants in a back bedroom in my house while living at my mom's. And I was making a shitload of money because I was selling to all of my close friends, and thank God I never got in trouble. But that mentality took a long time to kind of overcome, of like, it's legal now. I can talk about it now. I can openly discuss what's going on. The statute of limitations on what I did is now over.
Yes.
So now I can, it's been a lot of that. And so I'm hoping that over the next 5 to 10 years, as we inch closer to potential fully realized legalization, because all the things that the leaders are talking about now when it comes to legalization, like this whole thing with Biden just allowing for federal prisoners to get out, that was more of a stunt, because there was, I think, less than 500 people that were actually in jail on federal victimless ingesting or having small amounts of marijuana. Most people are actually in jail doing federal time because law enforcement actually gets them for trafficking. So there's a little bit of gamesmanship going on with politics and concerning letting people out of jail, because 99% of the time when somebody gets in trouble for a cannabis felony, it has to do with trafficking, and there's almost always a trafficking charge attached. If you have 2 Ziploc bags of weed and you're in a state that it's illegal or it's not medical, they're slapping you with a trafficking charge.
Oh, wow.
It's not something that's known unless like you're in the industry and you're like, wait a minute, that's a sneaky little game you did there, but we all know that that's maybe a handful of people, and the other 80% of the people that actually fill the jails, which cannabis crimes make up for, I believe, more than like 75% of current inmate amounts.
Wow.
And that's on a federal or a state level. Those people are all on trafficking. Those people are all on distribution, creation, cultivation. It's not for just some victimless, I smoked some weed and I got in trouble. So the more people know, the better. And the closer we get to people having the full knowledge so that they can hold their leaders accountable, the faster this whole thing is going to turn.